to this Thursday show. And if you're on the Live Video Hub, I just want to say a big thank you. We're starting promoting today, promoting you and your shows on the Live Video Hub, and looking forward to continued success with the Hub. Now, I'm fortunate today to be joined by a good friend. So I'm going to ask Cheryl to step onto the stage and we'll take it from there. Hello, Cheryl.
Hi, Steven.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. Just let me move that down, move that across. Now, I've made changes today. I say to Catherine as I do. Normally, I put the link back at the top of the show. I've not done that today, so I'm experimenting because you and I were chatting the other day, and the question is, are views of your broadcasts in the last 2 weeks up or down? And that's where we start, isn't it? Because
yes,
that's the key. The more people, well, do you want to explain what's been happening, and then we can talk about it and discuss it and get everybody involved?
Well, I'm not really sure what is happening. I only know that I watch my data every day. And I've noticed in the last 2 weeks that my reach, like last week, the reach was like 50% down from the week before. This week, 50% down. I mean, it's really down. And I'm not doing anything any different. I still push out to the same hubs. I do what I've always done. Now, I have noticed that my engagement is up. All the other stats look great. They're in the green, they're growing, they look great. And so we want the engagement to be up. I'm grateful for that. I'm just not really understanding why the reach is not going. Yeah, April's saying, I see that April's saying the same thing, views way down. And I'm at a loss. I've reached out to a few people to see what's going on with them, and I've heard kind of the same thing.
And I totally agree with what you're saying. Facebook reach is what determines how many people can see our shows. And if the reach falls, no matter what we do, the views fall and the people who can see our show falls, and it's not good. And April's just giving evidence. We normally get approximately 250 views per show on average. Now we're barely reaching 100 views. Nothing has changed in our approach either. So, yeah. So April's not changing anything, and Joy's saying hello, and Joy's watching us live. Normally,
hi Joy. Hi Joy. I miss you. I hope you had a great time in Alaska.
Yeah. Normally, I'm delighted to see Joy catch the replay, to actually have Joy watching us live. Absolutely brilliant. If anybody wants to join us on camera today, then just type guest in the comments, and you can join us on camera. And Joy is saying, hang on, right, okay. Joy is saying reach is not good. What's the reason? And that's what we're discussing today. We're trying to find out why this should be, what's changed, because we haven't changed anything, and yet views are going down. Interaction is still there, though. Yeah. Right, okay, and so welcome to Joe. My weekly has grown in 9 months to around 2,000 to 3,000 views over a 7-day cycle. It sits on average around 2,500, so I was happy with that. My reach has continued to grow until around 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And it's dropped a few thousand. We are monitoring that.
So there you go. It's like what happened in the last 2 weeks?
Indeed. And Joy is saying it's great to see us. Well, we appreciate that and return the compliment. And Catherine's going to join us on camera, which is good. Thank you, Catherine. And hoping my messenger bot is working. I don't know. I get the feeling that the Facebook experiment, at our expense, they experiment to improve things. But in the last 2 weeks, you've got to say, well, we've done everything the right way. We cross-post, we promote before the show, we do everything that we can to actually build an audience. And yet, all right, okay, I've got April is April. I predict this will change again, as I've seen it happen in the past when Facebook rolls out their updates to pages. Well, I think we can all agree on one thing: something is going on.
Yes.
And the only thing we know we've got to provide great content. We know we've got to be consistent. We score on both those. We know we've got to be able to engage people. We do. And Joy is saying, well, that speaks volumes. It's true for everyone. Sad to say I can't speak on it yet. And Joe's coming to join us as well. So we're going to have a full panel. Good. Because it's an important topic, because if you're creating content and doing your best and you're building an audience, and then that audience all of a sudden shrinks, you first question yourself, don't you?
Yeah.
That's a natural thing. Did
I do something different? And I look and I'm like, no, I do the same thing for each show. I'm consistent in that. But like I said, everything else is in the green. Everything else looks good. The engagement is great, which is very confusing to me. I'm thinking, okay, if my engagement is better than it's ever been, shouldn't that be pushing my content out more? Logically?
Yeah, it should. And we'll welcome Joe Sheppard to the conversation. And have you met Joe before?
I haven't met Joe. Hi, Joe.
Hey, how are you guys? Great to be on.
Brilliant. Welcome, Joe. And you've both met each other now. This is the start of a friendship, I can tell it. So, Joe, your thoughts on the topic of what's happening?
I'm getting a bit of double feedback, guys, from...
Hi, Joe.
Hey, how are you guys? Great to be on. I think it's just there's a bit of delay.
Okay, this is live. We know we're live. Is anybody got I've only got 2 tabs open. That's this Be Live one and the Messenger one. Everything else I've closed.
Everything's closed on my end.
Right. Joe, anything open on your end?
Do you have Facebook open, Joe?
Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. All right. We'll crack on. What we do is we run a 7-day cycle, guys. So we run a theme for a week. A weekly rugby show is one of 2 shows I do. Is a weekly show, and what we do on the Monday, I do a quick live on Facebook, telling people what the theme of the week is. So we've got a page which has about 6,000 people that follow us, and then we put a number of posts out relating to that theme during the week, and then we put the Be Live schedule out on the Wednesday for the Thursday night. And then on the Thursday morning, I do another live promoting it with the link on. So whichever way they go, it takes them back in.
Yeah.
And we share that in 20, maybe more, maybe 30 forums. And we've worked out that over a 7-day cycle. So the show on the Thursday evening, we then repurpose that under the In Case You Missed It banner on a Sunday morning. And that doubles my figures overnight. I normally go from 1,000 to 2,500 within 24 hours of doing a repurpose on a Sunday morning. So we are constantly looking for other forums, other groups, other people to interlink it with. We share it on the Be Live Hub. And so that's how we've grown in 9 months to it. Up until about 2 weeks ago, we had a reach of about 40,000 in 9 months. That's dropped back to about 36,000. Not really sure why, because we're doing the same thing.
Right. My first takeaway from that, which was very interesting, is that you repurposed the video over the weekend. Do you download it and repurpose it, or how do you actually do that? Right, Cheryl, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I can. I'm getting about a 10-second delay, so whatever I'm saying or you're saying is coming through a second time. Do you want to drop me out and then put me in again?
Yeah, sure. If you refresh and come back, and make sure you've only got the 1 tab open. And whilst Joe's away, we can recognise Catherine is going to join us. Hang on, there's a mystery afoot. And Catherine, as I said, she's going to come on after this topic, which is brilliant. And April is saying, this is great that you're all having this discussion today because it will lead beautifully into the conversation I'll be having with Steven at noon tomorrow. That's the first plug, for a show featuring myself in April at 12 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. And we're going to bring Joe back.
Yeah, I'm really interested in what Joe was saying.
Lads, my bad. Do you know what? I'm prepping for tonight's show. I'm answering stuff. You know that multitasking thing that guys don't do? We don't do it. We don't do it. And I forgot that my Facebook is open. And so I was trying to work out, is my bad. So I apologize for basics.
No worries. Everything's good now. Now, one of the things that several takeaways from what you said, yes, but one that I took was that you repurposed the shows over the weekend. Do you download them and upload them again?
No. What we do is we've got the page on Facebook, and what I do is so the schedule goes out the Wednesday for the Thursday night, and once the schedule is done to my page, I then have to manually reshare that, which is a real pain. And I've asked BeLive formally if they can change this. So do you know when you have your drop-down box in the schedule so you can choose your group or page? Mm-hmm. I've asked them if they can put in the same facility that you can tick box to a group, a page, or an individual, so it goes out at once. Because to do 20 or 30 reshares once it's done manually, blimey, that's... And I'm just going on to it. I've just started the second fortnightly show, Stephen, as you know, not related to the rugby one. And so it's things like that which are a pain. But so we do that, and we've worked out that a 7-day cycle, and you've got to promote it in different ways. The same thing. So there's no, for me, I think I've learned, and a lot of this came from you, Stephen, getting your thoughts. I bounce things off you all the time, and I'm very grateful to that. Is what you do with that one piece. So there's no point for me. I don't believe there's any point in just coming on and doing your show once. You've got to build up to your show. You build your audience views up for that. You build your reach up to that. So if you're doing a show, go and find, real critical this, go and find any pages or groups on Facebook that you can join that is akin to the message that you're sending out on your show. Join them and then share your link. That's how you engage. My was 40,000 reach, but my after 9 months, a 7-day cycle, having between sort of 2,000 and 3,500 viewers over that 7 days, I'm pretty comfortable with that in only 9 months. But and none of that's paid for, not one item. It's all organic, but it has taken the time for me to go and find the groups. And of course, some people will think, lads, that okay, rugby, it's just one topic. I've got 24 subject areas. So within that, I've got mainstreams. So we've got, if you like, mainstream 15 rugbies. We've got sevens rugbies. We've got tier 2 development. We've got women's. We've got mixed ability. And you've just got to think a little bit of the message I'm sending, what I'm sharing, who needs to see that message? And the slightest little link that you've got to go engage with people. And I'm doing the same now with top retired rugby players and top officials. We're engaging them through different methods and just say, look, do you want to come and join us on the show? The worst thing anybody's ever going to say in life is no. And generally, people like to be engaged. So for us, that works well. But definitely, when I reshare the same show on the Sunday morning under the banner of In Case You've Missed It, and again, it goes to all of those same 20 or 30 groups or pages and forums. That is doubling our viewing figures overnight.
Right, which brings a question from April. Joe, how do you go about finding the groups that are in alignment with your overall message? What is the formula that others can follow? What's the magic sauce? Can you give us your magic sauce?
The magic sauce is this. I'm an engaging Irishman. Who was born in England, who's travelled around the world for 30 years into lots of different countries. And I research. So I'm on Facebook. We've just set up our Twitter account, and I've got one of my lads who helps us with the show doing that. And we literally, so we'd put in, for example, this week's theme, for example, was all about rugby in World War I. Because tonight's show, we've got 3 ex-servicemen who are doing a 100K walk in 3 days. through the Western
Wow.
Front. So Somme, the Eats, and everything. They're all ex-rugby players. So we're interviewing them tonight about why they're doing that, why they're raising money for the Army Benevolent Fund, the Soldiers' Charity. So I've tied that theme in this week with rugby and war, remembering those in conflict of World War One, and all the top rugby players who died in 1914 to 18. And we've shared a post every single day. And again, it's manually driven. So we've gone to different pages and different sites. And the interaction we've got from that, lads, has been absolutely fab. So it's literally, I'm on Facebook to start with. If I get an idea for a theme, I'm on, right, which groups. So when we did Mixed Ability about 6 weeks ago, I had members of the Irish wheelchair rugby team on, who were just going to the World Championships a few weeks later. And I had somebody on from UK, from Blind Rugby, from a fantastic group called the Change Foundation. So that was Mixed Ability. So we had them on. So I then researched all the wheelchair and blind rugby groups. The people I said, right, the people I had on the show said, right, who do we know? Who do we need to engage with? And we literally wrote to them, private messaged them. Oh, look, some didn't answer, but you know what? Some did. You always miss an opportunity you never take. And that's as simple as it gets. It's about engagement. So do your research, find groups who have got any links whatsoever to something you're doing. We're doing the same now with our fortnightly show, which we've just started, the Improve Your Lifestyle online with the Lee and Joe show. So that's a myriad. You know, too many people are a bit like that. I mean, no disrespect, but that's how we've managed to grow quite successfully in a short period.
So broaden your horizons and put the legwork in, and don't be afraid to ask.
Don't be afraid to. Look, people love to be engaged. You know, it's a bit of MMFI in it. Make me feel important. You know. Okay. Simple as that.
Right. But you're making this sound so simple. I know that I'm going to be watching the replay.
Me too. It sounds great. I'm excited. Yeah. By the way, I need to drop off. I have another meeting coming. Joe, I'm going to send you an invite. It was great to meet you.
And thank you so much,
Stephen. Take care.
Took over your show.
Take care, Cheryl. Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.
All right. If anyone else would like to join Joe and I on camera, then please do type guests. Now, you started a conversation here, Joe, conversation and a half. Let's go with it. April is saying, when you bring guests on your shows, approximately how many people from their tribe are they bringing with them to your show, not only to listen in, but to engage in the comments or jump in a seat?
Very good question, April. Thank you. Well, it depends. I mean, we had, I think the answer is you don't know, is the honest answer, because what you do, and for example, we had one of the world's top rugby players, retired now, a guy called David Campese from Australia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I just contacted him out of the blue. And I kept going for about 5 or 6 weeks, and eventually he sent me a number, so I contacted him. So anyway, he then reshared it on his personal page, which has about 11,000 on it. We know that some people now from that have come on and liked the page and watched. One of the things when I first started the show, and I still do now, but is it's okay having 2,500 views over a 7-day period. You know, I'd rather have 2,500 people on engaging on my show. But it doesn't happen because actually, you know, 9 p.m. on a Thursday night doesn't suit a lot of people. So majority of people will watch it on a replay. You know, it's a bit like me. I'd love to watch more BeLive shows from other people, but I physically cannot fit them in at the moment. So I think it's hard to quantify, Stephen, and April, if I'm honest. I think you've just got to, one of the things I do, April, to answer that question maybe a bit easier, is when I engage with a page or a forum that I think would be useful to share my show on and to engage to get people on my page, we tend to engage with somebody who runs that page, so an admin or a moderator for that page, and we do the personal thing to begin with, and we find that, you know, it's a courtesy thing as well. And of course, you engage with somebody who's a key person of influence, a KPI, and as the great Daniel Priestley would say, and then that person, then once they edify you, a lot of people will flow from that, and that's one of the things that we find. You find a key player, and that key player edifies you and says, yeah, you know, watch this show, these guys are great, then that's a huge thing because it's their network. And let's be honest about this. We are trying to. There's a great book by a guy called Daniel Priestley called Key Persons of Influence, and that's, you're looking for key persons of influence within your key area of interest, and that's the secret. What is your area of interest, and who are the players? It's the same way as you would use LinkedIn and stuff like that. So for us, we're just scratching the surface really of where this goes. Eventually I'd like to get some sponsorship for it, but it needs to grow a bit. And we've failed our way to where we are, but we've tried lots of different things. So,
Right, just going back to Daniel for a moment. Daniel's written quite a few books, hasn't he?
He has indeed, yeah. I met him a number of years ago when I was doing my social media coach leaders course in the UK through some other people, and I find him very engaging. And actually, I probably done more to. He doesn't know this. I've probably done more to sell his books. I use that expression in a lot of what I do. It's about finding key persons of influence within your key areas of interest, and that is, if you remember that in the back of your mind, and it does become a numbers game, Stephen. I think some will, some won't. So what next? So.
Okay. Right. Okay. I'm just going to go through a couple of comments. Joe, are you okay, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah.
Right. Okay. April saying, I find that when it comes to groups, many of them have a strict policy on sharing your shows. Yeah. In many cases, it feels to me that tribes want to keep communications to themselves. So you said that you go to a group, you make contact with the admins, introduce yourself, get a conversation going, make it personal. So have you yourself pre-qualified the group by saying these people do like video?
No, I've qualified them by they do like the subject, the content.
Okay.
So and of course the thing is, April, another great question. I love your stuff, April. I think it's brilliant. You ask some really great stuff. I think that when you find a group or a page, that you're always, I watch you a lot, and so I follow people like you and Stephen for a reason, because it always tests me in my thinking as well. But I think once you go to a page or a group or a forum, Stephen, it's about that first connection is, are they linked into what I'm talking about? The generic thing, and then having a look at their page and then saying, okay, what within there is a niche that I can add value to them? Because I've experienced that. I had it today. There is one, I won't name them others, but there's one rugby page for a province and island that I couldn't break into, because one of their rules is, do not share your webpage, your shows, your this, your that, whatever. And I get all that, but I find some communities are missing the point of being a community. They're so secular and insular in what they're doing, and if that's the way you want to be, I'd never be derogatory about it, but I think you're missing the point. So what I've done today is I have found somebody else who's close to the person that runs the group. So I'm trying a different way, and what I've offered to do is, within their niche area, I've offered to do a special just on them. So do you know what? They've got 10 or 13,000 people in their little group. I want to break into that little group. So it's just a way of finding a way around it, or finding somebody who can, again, a key person of influence who can break down the barriers. Because I understand that they don't want to necessarily open up their niche area and be flooded. They want to control a little bit. I get that. But at the same time, I believe strongly in what we're doing, and that we can add value to them and them to us. And that's the important thing as well, is letting them know that they can add value to what we're trying to do. So you're seen as being non-parochial. It's hard for people to say no when you take that, softer approach, I think.
Gotcha. And just to catch up, Joy is saying, fantastic tips, Joe. Love your energy and taking it all in and loving it. So there you are. Bravo.
Thanks, Joy. You're very kind.
And we know that April's always very inquisitive, so I thought I'd show that twice. And Roy's saying, yes, April, yet the qualifying factor is that they are in line with your outlook. Yeah. And April's back. Joe, you're indeed thinking outside the box, and that will serve you well.
Thank you. I think it's a case of it's not prescribing yourself in what you want to do. I mean, when we set the group up, we didn't want to. The thing I like about Be Live is you can have that informal approach. Excuse me. So what we did actually was when I started researching this, everybody told me that it wouldn't work doing a show without a page. We did it. It wouldn't work on a Thursday at 9 p.m. It was a bit late, but we did it. So we had a show, and then we built a Facebook page around it. Now we've just opened up Twitter. So actually, we've done it all, well, supposedly for most people the wrong way around, but actually it works well because the other things are there. Everything is about the show. And that's why we've now gone to the 7-day cycle where we now have a theme, because we found that idea works quite well. We don't need to compete with some of the big online shows. Pretty comfortable. I mean, I have some figures in my mind of where I want to go. And what I've managed to do actually in a lot of the forums and pages that we've engaged in, the high number of those, and we're in South Africa, we're in New Zealand, Australia, we're in the Middle East, we're in Europe, and a lot of those groups and forums, the people who found them or the senior admins, we have now got them in. I've got a secret Facebook group just for the live show with 42 people in 13 countries sit in it, and I share stuff with them and ideas with them. Now, that's for me is the ultimate in success, is because you're taking people who have their own groups and they want to sit as part of yours, because we wanted to have an informal show. I think that's what Be Live does. It allows ordinary people to come on as guests, and ordinary people like me who can talk as if you're in a bar or in a, hey, thanks gospel. You're in a bar or you sat at a bus stop, just having a general informal chat with somebody, and a bit of crack. That's Irish for fun, by the way. And not the other stuff,
translation.
Yeah, I have to. There's two things you have to remember when we're in, because I'm obviously, you can tell by the accents, I'm a half-bred. My mother's English, my father, God rest him, is Irish. But there's two things. In Ireland, we call everybody lads. Even the girls call girls lads. But when you're talking into a mixed group, sometimes some of our beautiful ladies can get a bit bent out of shape about that. And crack, yeah, C-R-A-I-C is Irish for fun. And that's the serious point is Be Live opens up for ordinary people to get extraordinary people on, and it's great. The only thing we don't do at the moment actually is we don't have a YouTube channel, only because we haven't got the capacity to do that. And I know, Steve, I've asked your advice on some things, like we want to turn it into a podcast, but look, it'll take time and comfortable. Using Be Live as the main thing at the moment, because that's the main thing.
Right, we're going to go completely off topic just for a second, because we've got a comment from Joy, and nothing's off topic. This is a talk show. We can do anything we like. Completely off subject, yet had to share. My mother's maiden name was Sheppard. Might be connected.
I can see a slight resemblance. Well, actually, right. We are slightly off topic, but the although my double PAOD, the very short end of the long story, me late father, God rest him, was born SHEPHERD. And if we ever meet up, it's a show within itself. How the name got changed. So there's only me and me brothers are double PARD. And the rest of the family is HERD, but like I say, that's a story within itself. but there you go. Yeah. But I'll tell you one thing I have done is I've got this idea. I'm connected with around about 40 or 50 Joe Sheppards around the globe. I sent requests out to people, and I've got this. I'm going to set up, when I get 5 minutes in another project, I'm going to set up a page called "Will the Real Joe Sheppard Please Stand Up?" Look, engage anybody.
That's right. Networking, gotta love it. And April loves you. You are now going to be quoted, possibly on the show at 12 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, with myself and April. And the quotation is: "Be Live opens it up for ordinary people to become extraordinary."
Absolutely.
Joe Sheppard. There you are. You're immortalized now.
And April, here's another one. You know the difference between being ordinary and extraordinary? It's that little bit extra. It's not much. It's just 1% improvement each day. You don't have to be anything special. Just that little bit extra makes you extraordinary.
CANI, C-A-N-I. Continuous and never-ending improvement.
It's the badge.
And that's a quote from, well, it'll come to me in a minute, and I'll tell you who it was. Right, and Joy's saying you're making her laugh, and she loves laughter.
Yeah,
So
look, the world is the world can be a very overpaced, overcomplicated world, and sometimes we need to remember why we're here, and that's about other human being, team. It's about, you know, we've opened up the world through the virtual mediums, sorry, and that's wonderful. But as we're finding now, a lot of the millennials, I don't really like that word, but you know, the younger generations, they've forgotten how to engage one-to-one. I hate being on my phone and engaging. I'd rather you know, do a Messenger Live, do a WhatsApp, you know, so I can see the whites of people's eyes, because it's difficult to get the context from a conversation sometimes. And online and many forums, that's where people start to fall out a bit. And you know, let's just remember, it's about engaging with other human beings. That's why we're on. So why don't we always do it? Get somebody's number, call them, do a chat online. Very few people will say no.
That's very true. And more quotes are coming up. You're going to go away from this show with the Joe Sheppard book of quotes about live video, I promise you. And Catherine's saying, wonderful, April and Joe. And a great quote indeed. And April's got your second quote of the day, which is the difference between being ordinary and extraordinary is that little bit extra.
Love that one, April.
Right, brilliant. And Gospel is agreeing. Thank you, Gospel. Yeah, I mean, basically, it's being social, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely. I tell people two things, Stephen. One is that there are 7.2 billion people in the world and only one big Joe Shep. So it's only fair that at some point I get to meet everybody. I mean, look, ticked another few dozen off my list today now, even meeting people virtually. And, you know, live every day if you can as if it's your last, because one day you're going to be right. So...
Unfortunately, yeah. But I take your point, live every day to the full.
Absolutely.
And that's true of live videos as well. If you get the opportunity to be live on air, we're fortunate to be able to do this. We live it here at the right time. Be Live is the right place to do it, as you mentioned earlier. And it's up to us to make the best use of it. And today, you've given a masterclass, sir. So I want to say thank you for that. If anybody's got any more questions, observations, or quotes you've noted, then please just write in the comments. If you want to come on camera, then just type guest in the comments and you can join Joe and I and ask and answer questions about live video and life in general. Right, comment from Catherine. Yes, the one-to-many aspect of the internet was a boon. However, we should not lose the subtleness of person to person. And that's basically very true. I mean, I'm going to ask a question here because this intrigues me. How many conversations do you have a day? Just roughly.
Oh, I 50 more.
50. All right. So you're having 50 conversations. What percent are with people you've never met before? Because I'm just trying to dig down a bit.
I'd say at least 50% of those.
Right. So 50% are effectively, let's just get this, 50% of those are cold calls.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Now this brings us down. How do you break the ice on a cold call?
If it's on because we share on our own page and to other forums, so if somebody reacts to them over time, well, if somebody reacts to them in a certain way, sometimes I'll either send them a friend request or I will message them straight away and say, listen, thanks for engaging me with that. Really great answer. You know, you seem to know your stuff. It's just the initial thing. With a lot of groups and forums, you'll tend to find a similar type of person or the same person will react. So you're hitting some of the buttons for them. Reach out. If you've got somebody and you pick up their name sort of a couple of times on a forum that you're on and somebody reacts to something, they like what you're saying or what you're doing, reach out to them straight away. They're already broken the barrier for you. So actually it's a warm call. So it's being observant. It's a bit like being in a room and looking around, making eye contact with people. When our Rugby, or Three Blokes, a Ball and a Bod is our page and show. Our Twitter group, our Twitter handle only went live a couple of days ago. And I've got one of the lads who's in the team that does some stuff for us, set that up and is running with all that. All the new followers straight away within 24 hours, as soon as I got notified of those followers, I'd send them a personal message saying, listen, thanks very much for following us back. We've reciprocated. One of the guys, given their name in brackets, is running most of this for me. I just wanted to reach out with a personal touch and say thank you. You're a supporter, appreciated. Regards, BJS. And it's that. Yes, it takes a bit of time, but once you've done that message once, a few people come back and they've engaged with me in a few conversations, and you've built that. So it's people don't. It's another expression, isn't it? People don't care how much they know until they know how much you care. And surprisingly, people come back and say, wow, that's really cool. Thanks very much. But why wouldn't you engage with somebody on a personal level? It's like any business. Somebody might be doing business, but if they're brought to your attention, a quick call or a quick note thanking them for what they're doing, it goes back to Emmett. If you have a team photograph of your family or a business or a sports team, when that photo comes out, who's the first person you look for? You. Because human beings are primarily more interested in themselves than absolutely anybody else. So it goes back to MMFI, make me feel important, boom, and do that. And that's a great, great way. And of course, your reputation is enhanced by them because they will then tell other people what you're doing. And it's a good thing to watch and good people to engage with. And it's small things like that. Just, extra.
The extra. And April's saying a question: do you utilize audio and or video when engaging with people in Messenger when you first connect with them?
It tends to depend. When I first connect with them, it tends to be a quick little message, get a good reaction back. I'll then, or if I'm on the go and I haven't got time, because I've got like fat jumbly fingers, so even on a fairly size phone, on WhatsApp and Messenger is great because you can do a minute burst, and that's even more personal, isn't it? Hearing somebody's voice. So a lot of the time I will use that minute burst on Messenger just to send somebody a personal message. It's levels. You can engage with somebody, then you can send them a message, you can send them a voice, then you can say, listen, we must catch up sometime. If they say, yeah, whenever you're free, okay, what subject you're interested in, blah, 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 arrange a time. And it's just scaling up, but again, based on how much time you've got, they've got, and you've got to filter out what is their importance really in can you add value to them, can they add value to you, or is it just a general thing? And if it's just a general thing, that's fine. You've made that engagement. You'll know they'll be watching you and what you're doing. But if it's somebody there who you think they can, and there's nothing wrong with this, they can introduce me to somebody else, or I'm looking for somebody else, then once you've made that initial breakthrough with them, say, listen, because I always say to people, if I can do anything for you, please ask. Invariably, people will come back to you and say the same. Yeah, likewise. Great. Actually, on that, I'm looking to try and reach so-and-so, or I'm trying to do this type of show. Any thoughts? Do you have any connections? Tell you what, opens doors.
Yeah. Find common interest. Now, there's a quotation which I will read, but it's not yours, Joe. April points out it's not yours. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Good old Teddy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. And April, there are voice apps that allow you to send. There are voice apps that allow you to send longer than 1 minute audios to Facebook Messenger.
Oh, is there?
If you've got a link, April, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because you say 9 months, and you've gone from 0.
Yeah.
To the reach that you have now.
Yeah. It's not bad, is it?
It's not bad at all. No. I mean, it's. At what point did you realise you were heading? And it's a stupid question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. At what point do you realise that you got the formula right?
I think during the summer, because during the off season for rugby, after the summer tours are all done, most forums, if people scrapping around saying, "Oh, I'm really missing the season, can't wait." Well, actually, what we did was we took a whole pile of non-mainstream type issues. So we had a women's special. We did the mixed ability. We had some rugby referees and officials on. So we just, I just decided that, you know, there were a lot of other things. We had a tier 2. So if you like, tier 1 rugby is like, you know, New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, England, Ireland, Wales, all that sort of thing. The top 12. Outside of that is what they call tier 2 development. We looked at Rugby Europe, emerging teams. So we looked at lots of non-mainstream stuff and made that mainstream. And so it's just thinking about, okay, well, what are other people not doing that we can still find? And then from there, then when we've got the theme. And so, and literally, I'd been going for about 4 months, and it got to the stage where we started off with 6 panelists in a messenger group. And then I put an advert out onto about 10 forums saying, listen, do you want to be on our weekly rugby show where we talk about mainstream, non-mainstream, blah, 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 blah. And I was inundated with people who were interested. From that, we filtered some people out. The majority of them were pretty sound people who people like the idea of coming on a show, but actually when push comes to shove, they are actually put off a little bit. So you've got to nurture them through it. So literally overnight, after about 4 months, once I put the request out, in the next 7 days, I had to form the secret panelist group. I had to change everything because it went from a level to blimey a level, and of course I get no sponsorship at the moment. There's no funding, so it's all fitting it in. But you do have that, you know, Stephen. You get to that tipping point.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
You either stay where you are, or you have to put measures in place that will support the next phase of growth. So on the back of that, then about 6 weeks ago, I've now done a schedule for the next 10 months. For people for ease, so we know what the shows roughly are going to be, and where there's some gaps, and it's just for ease for me and ease for other people for planning. So yeah,
right. I'm blown away. This is really good. April has given us a link to the voice recorder app on Android, so thank you, April.
Excellent, thank you for that.
Okay, and marked us in. And right, okay, question from Gospel. How would you advise an introvert to do this?
Great.
Approach-wise.
Well, that's an awesome question. That really is, because as you can gather, for me, I am total opposite of. In fact, anybody who studies personality types, if you follow the DISC principle, then I am a high I. And introvert, yeah. I think the easy thing to do for an introvert is, introverts are good at connecting with people, but in their own way. So the great thing you've got is identifying the people you want to speak to, and then just doing it on a message, a personal message. So you don't have to actually speak to somebody, or you could leave a voice clip if you're not comfortable with doing that. Just whatever your show is, whoever you write a list of 10 people that you would like to engage with, and send them 10 messages in the next 7 days, a message to each one of them, because that's the first thing. You've got to overcome that little bit of fear, and we all have it. You know, I even as gregarious and outgoing and as big as a lump as I am, you know, you're still you're still unsure until the person actually says, yes, I want to engage, or I want to come on your show, whether it's actually going to happen. So we all feel it, but it's that, you know, fear, FEAR, false evidence appearing real. You've just got to go with it. And the more you do, the more you will become comfortable to it. Now, getting an introvert on the show is going to be slightly different. And so, again, if you go back to what I said a couple of minutes ago, that when we set up the secret panelist group, out of the 42 I have, about 25 of those are pretty regular in contributing. The other 16, 17, 18, whatever it is, will follow. 1 or 2 are lurkers, what I call lurkers. They like the idea, but it just may be that they are introverted and they like the idea of coming on, and it will take them a little bit longer, and that's fine. But you know what? If you're an introvert and you're engaged in this type of, you know, if you're watching Be Live or you're involved in the periphery in any way, you're watching shows, you obviously have a hankering to want to do this type of thing, and therefore take the next level. Find a buddy, find somebody on Be Live who will give you a little bit of time to help you maybe do a one-on-one show, to lead you through it. You know, I'll throw that open. I don't have that much time because I've just got a second show going. But if there's somebody out there who hasn't done a show, I'll make you an offer. Connect with me, we'll engage, and I will help you do your first show.
Brilliant. And Gospel is saying, at the moment I send out a video message and a letter and wait for the response. Now, this waiting for the response bit, okay, when you've sent out that first message, do you actually follow it up?
Yeah, I think one of the I like what you do. I don't do letters per se anymore, Gospel, because one of the things on waiting for people is that people are busy and they'll see something, and sometimes I'm the same. I'll forget to get back to somebody, but when you send WhatsApp message or when you send a messenger, you can see when they've seen it. So at least you know then that they have seen it. I'd give them a little, a couple of days maybe to engage back again. And if they haven't, just send them another little courtesy saying, hey, no, you're really, really busy. Did you get my message the other day? When suits you to have a chat? So what you're doing is you're funneling them a little bit more in, pressurizing them. You're just funneling somebody a little bit more into either they're going to engage with you or they're not. And it's easier to find out once you've done that. And that's a good way, I find.
Right. Now, I just want to give a shout out for Gospel, because we're all on the same side of the Atlantic, Joe. And Gospel does a show on Monday mornings. And I have started to listen every week. So if you've got sort of quarter of an hour to spare, then check out, she's on the live video hub. Check out Gospel. And she gives you a good start to the week. I've just got to say, it's an excellent show to watch, and just, get your thoughts clear for the week. And so shout out for Gospel. And we're joined by Catherine again. So Catherine's saying, love your encouragement, Joe. Yes, I have a hankering. My concern is my family and friends. I don't really want them to know. I feel like, right, okay, I'm just going to stay with it. All the comments are coming thick and fast. I feel like they would make fun of me. People don't get that it's about connection, not narcissism. Right. Okay. Now, we had a situation. We've got a friend. Well, we've all got a friend who actually had this exact problem. And I'll give my take, and then Joe, if you take over. They have a family and friends who watch their Facebook page like hawks, and they comment on everything that appears on that page. And I'm said he now, but I won't go any further than that. He posted a video on his page where he was interviewing somebody, and that somebody said something that his mother disagreed with. Yeah, because his mother was watching this replay of the show. So what he's done, and the way he's done to get around it, is to set up a second account and use that second account like his professional account. And he's worked around it that way. I mean, because you want to keep your personal and your professional separate, but you know where I'm going. Your take.
I think it's difficult. I have no doubt that there's people out there who would say I was narcissistic. Not really. Yeah, I enjoy engaging with people. I believe I've been given a little bit of a gift that I can engage. I think it's interesting. I've stopped using my personal page almost in the last 12 months. Just stopped completely. I mean, you can share something that's worldly and that people need to read or watch that will invariably change their lives, because people want to improve their lives. And yet, people ignore it. You put a picture up of your cat eating your dinner when you're out the room secretly, and it goes viral. That's the nature of some of the things. So I've stopped sharing an awful lot of. Sorry, I got a call coming in and I pressed accept as opposed to multitasking again. So I think that you're better off having. So I put all my time now into my professional pages and groups, and you, and I understand from why you want to do that, and I think do that. And then, of course, when you share it to go out to people to like, if there's negative people in your life, and listen, you know, our families especially can be less than supportive as we would want them to be sometimes, and they'll justify for the right reasons. You know that, you know, it's just like they're worried about you, and it doesn't matter. You know, if you've got the hankering, do it, because you know what, you don't know how many people's lives you're going to change.
That's true.
There are thousands and thousands and thousands of people out there who are waiting for Catherine to share some content with them that's going to change their life. And I tell you what, all the money in the world, Catherine, when somebody says, listen, thank you for sharing that with me, it made a difference, it doesn't matter. Watch my eyes. It doesn't matter one jot what any other person in this world says. If you've changed one person's life, then that's worthwhile.
Wise words. And just coming back to catching up on comments, and Gospel is saying many people do respond back. And then April says she's going to soundbite the sincere compliment that you gave earlier, Joe, and memorialize it. So there you are. Some good things are coming out of the show. And Gospel, you're more than welcome. I just enjoy your show. Simple as. And April's got a cure for Catherine. Remove them from your Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay. And
we're afraid to do that, Stephen, aren't we? April,
oh yeah.
We're afraid to do that sometimes. But actually, having a cull every now and again, it is not a bad thing, because what you find is somebody you knew 20 odd years ago, or somebody who's on the periphery of your family or whatever, who are negative about something you were doing 20 years ago and have never moved on. They still view you the same. So actually, why should they be part of your life? Yeah, we could all, that's a great idea. We could all do well with culling some of our so-called friends. If I haven't heard from somebody for a year, I contact them.
Okay.
And engage with them and say, how are you doing? So just say, listen, I'm a little bit worried. I haven't heard you from ages. You know, I always make it just say, have I done something wrong to offend you that you haven't been in touch with me? Make a bit of a light joke about it. And if you get nothing back at all, you know, I'd give it 7 days, especially if they've read it. And then if you don't hear from them, you know, just let it go. Let it go. If they want you, they know where you are.
Indeed. And Catherine's smiling. That's good. And Gospel is saying so true. So excellent.
Lads, I'm going to have to jump out because I've got stuff to do before my own show tonight. So I'm sorry for being rude, Stephen, and having to jump ship.
No, you far from being rude. You've shared your time with us, Stoke, which everybody appreciates. Just want to say on everybody's behalf, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. And have a great show.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Bye, Joe.
Bye now.
Now, this is the wonderful thing about live video, and when you start a live show, you have no idea what's going to happen. And I was very fortunate then to be joined by Joe and, of course, by Cheryl. And you're all welcome to join me live on air anytime. And let's just go through this because we've got a few minutes. Monday, 12 p.m. Eastern, myself and David Burrows, live from Sarnia in Canada. Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern is myself and Fons Chamberlain with I Live Here. That's one of my favorite shows. Next week we're going to Hull, which is on the east coast of England, and we're going to be given a guided tour. Wednesday is my favorite show of the week. We can't all be favorites though, but it's with RJ Redden, and that's at 12 p.m. Eastern, and we talk about the live video hub and messenger bots. 12 p.m. Eastern again. On Thursday, Linda is actually at a conference at the moment, but Linda West and I will be back next Thursday with our regular show. And this is a shout out for tomorrow for 2 shows. Say hello to RJ. And everybody's talking. So I'm trying to keep, I can't keep I'm going to, yeah, you're all right. Okay. You're all wonderful. And tomorrow, a shout out for 2 shows. At 12 p.m. Eastern, and I'm going to get the title of the show right, because April said the title of the show is, and I'm reading this, why do you follow the people that you do on social media? So you heard it here first. That's the title of tomorrow's show. which is going out at 12 p.m. Eastern, and it's a rare show because it's very rare that April and I get the chance to actually broadcast together live, because one of the time difference and two, work commitments. So join April and myself at 12 p.m. tomorrow, and after that, join Brigetti and I in conversation. Brigetti in Cape Town in South Africa, and that's at 1 p.m. Eastern. And okay, I knew I'd get in the hot water for this, so I'm going to go with it. Just let me to hide that and bring Mr. John Upton into the show and say, don't forget the 4 old geezers at 10 a.m. on Thursday. Now, there's only one reason I don't mention the 4 geezers, because we go out at 5 a.m. Eastern. So that's a little bit early for everybody. So if you wanted to catch the replay, then please do so. We generally talk about everything that's happening in the UK. And great conversation of friends, and thank you to Joe from Gospel. And it is nice to meet Joe. Joe is a genial gentleman, really, and he got into Be Live TV about 9 months ago. We get on quite well, and his rugby shows, as he said, he's built his reach up to 30,000. So he's walked the walk. So everything that he told us earlier today is from his doing it. He's done it. He knows how it works, and he knows where to put the square work in. So what I'm going to do after this show is I'm going to watch the replay and take notes. So to everybody who's watched today, and I'm very grateful for everybody who's tuned in today, and actually all the comments that have been made as well. The experiment I made on this show is that I didn't include the link. There's no links in this post. I just want to see what effect that had on reach. But I think that the takeaway from today is to take what Joe said and run with it and just do it. And we all forget about Facebook reach. And if we get a show where people are, like today's show, if we get a show where people are actually interacting, friends are chatting to each other, friends are talking to me, questions are coming in, answers are going out, then this is what it's all about. This is not the show that's got 7,000 views, never have 7,000 views. This is a show where we all get involved and we all talk to each other and we all learn from each other. And I thank you for your ideas and questions today, which will help the show come alive. And so Mr. Joe Sheppard, if you reach out to him, is more than happy to make contact with you. And you're most welcome, Gospel. Thank you for joining today. And to Mr. John Upton, and especially to April and I, 12 p.m. tomorrow, don't forget. RJ and I back next Wednesday, 12 p.m. Catherine, wonderful. And everybody who's joined in today to make this such a fast-moving, informative show. I think we've got a new member of our community involved in what we do, and I think we'll be hearing from Joe more about this business of live broadcasting, which we all enjoy so much. So thank you for watching. Take care. Have an amazing weekend, and I'll see you all again soon. This is Stephen in Wiltshire, England, saying goodbye for now.